Good evening, all. I think we're going to start the event and then we'll just let people join in as they come. Just to kick off the event, good evening to everybody. Thank you all for your time and joining us tonight. My name is Dominika. I'm the alumni coordinator at Middlesex Mauritius. And tonight, I hope, is the first of many events where we will be able to showcase alumni expertise and also their interests and success stories. I also hope that this will be an event where we bring the wider Middlesex alumni community together from London to Malta, Dubai, and Mauritius. To kick off this event, I would like to introduce you to our presenter. His name is Kapish Gya. He is a international business administration alumni from Middlesex, Malta. And he will be discussing tonight about the successful ways of working and or studying from home to what many have termed as the new normal of the times to come. Just to give you a few ground rules, this session is being recorded. We also would encourage you to type any questions that you might have. There will be some interaction where Kapish might ask you to interact and type a few things. And at the end, I'm sure if anybody would like to have a chat or ask questions directly, we will open a Q&A session. So Kapish, over to you. Let's kick off the event.
Thank you, Dominika, for the introduction. May I first of all thank the whole alumni community for bringing this event together, going through London to even Mauritius. Thanks a lot, Dominika. I'm just very excited for that. So let's just start the recording.
It's already being recorded, so it should be okay.
All right, perfect. So my name is Kapish Gya. As you guys know, we've been running sessions in London, and I'm very happy to have this third session in Mauritius as well. So welcome everybody. Today's theme is mostly about what everyone's facing. Today's challenge is about working from home or even studying from home. As I know, many of you guys are really struggling ever since almost a month or two now. During the lockdown. So I really hope we get the chance to really get some tips and tricks on how to move about today's session. So without any more delay, let me just start to go through the next slide. And we're gonna really calm our minds first by running a small meditation for 4 minutes. And I really hope that's gonna really clear your mind after a long day of work. I know you guys had even lectures about managing stress today. So I really hope that meditation could really start off the event well. So there we go. It's all right. Maybe we could just go.
Here we go.
There we are.
When you're ready, close your eyes and lower your gaze. Close your eyes, lower your gaze, and bring your awareness to calm, balance, ease, stillness, and peace. Whenever your mind wanders, gently and softly bring it back to calm, balance, ease, stillness, and peace. This is your time, your space. If there's any distraction around you, tend to it gently and then just bring back your attention. No need to get frustrated. No need to be disappointed. Keep moving forward. Keep trying again. Calm, balance, ease, stillness, and peace. There's no better focus than the one on yourself. Place your right hand on your heart with your eyes closed and repeat after me. I am exactly where I'm meant to be. I am exactly where I'm meant to be. I am not ahead. I am not behind. This is my time. I am not ahead. I am not behind. This is my time. I am ready to learn, to grow, and to heal. I am ready to learn, to grow, and to heal. When you're ready, in your own time, at your own pace, you can gently and softly open your eyes. In your own time, at your own pace.
Perfect. I really hope you guys had a great meditation to calm our minds. So moving on, I just want to ask you guys a question so you could make it more interactive. What are your key takeaways from the meditation? How it felt? Was it good? Did you really need it? And maybe some just points of views from you guys. You could just type it in the chat box. I'll just take a couple of answers so we make it interactive for the next couple of minutes before moving on. Isel saying it feels really good after a long day. Great to hear that we've all had a long day. Vivar from Middlesex, Malta, is saying, I feel peace of mind. I think that's what we really need for now. Somia is saying she felt important just to take care of her breath. Of course, I think that's a really, really important part of meditation. Kinjal is saying he takes off a lot of burden, maybe a little bit tinge of burnout. So that's really good. And Zana from Middlesex, London is saying it was calming. So I guess we've got a lot of great answers, and maybe we'll just kick off for the next slide. Thank you guys for all of your comments. Let's move on to the next one. So just in case a lot of you guys just joined in during the meditation, if you're here today, it means you really want to leverage your game on how to effectively study or even work from home. So this workshop is all about creating habits so that you can really leverage your game. As you all know, your life is a result of the habits you create. I really believe that habits is something which is very, very much in the market right now as a buzzword. So many books coming up over it. There's so much of things coming up about your habits. So everything you create in your life is about creating your habits first, then everything comes subconsciously. It's just really, really proven by science. So moving on to the next slide, I would just really show you how we're going to dive deep into the topic. So at the heart of everything, as you know, is your habits. So the first thing which I would talk about is about studying. I know you guys are studying a lot, so maybe there's one more thing you need to study on, and it is actually moving on to study your personal habits. Your personal habits will actually make you work from home. of course, and for our alumni from practically anywhere. So I really believe that actually it's so much important to study your own habits, because when you study your own habits, you actually set a protocol in your mind which rewires your brain to really focus on certain sets of habits, which we're going to go through. But first of all, it's really important to study your habits in itself so that you can use them to study or even work from home to anywhere. So moving on to the next slide, I would really recommend a little maybe tinge of explanation about practical terms, which is defining a habit. So first thing about a habit, it's the small decisions you make and the actions you actually perform every single day. So there's so many habits which happens now with subconscious mind, which we actually do. And maybe this event will make you dive and have clarity in terms of which habits do you actually use when you start your day. So the next point would be your habits actually occur subconsciously. You know, your mind has been wired in such a way that you do so many things without actually asking yourself questions, because it's just this normal routine, just like a baby learning how to walk. So the baby till becoming an adult till today, we all subconsciously are walking, right? But there's something called in your brain, which is neuroscience, explaining it on the third definition of a habit, which is actually it's about 40% of our behaviors on every day. That's a lot. That's more than almost a half, you know, of your habits that occur subconsciously, and they account for your behaviors, you know. And lastly, I would really end up by, you know, your life today is essentially some of your habits. You know, you take all your habits you create ever since you wake up in the morning till you end the day. There's a summation of habits that happens all around the day. And this is so important because, you know, a lot of people really want to leverage their game, and moving from high performing people to really excellent habit makers, you know, it takes just a small steps to go ahead. And that's what I really want to focus on today, because those habits will actually give you clarity, you know. And I really believe that visualization is preparation. Whatever you visualize, you actually materialize. That's just very normal. And just now we're going to move to the next slide, which will be very happening to explain it all. So just one new video. I guess it's very straightforward. So just now on the next slide, I'm just gonna ask you guys one last question. Do you think your habits will allow you to study or even work more effectively? So I just take up a couple of answers before moving again towards the topic. So just maybe you could just type in, what do you think about your habits? Do you think that will allow you to do things better? And I can see that Girish Vivart saying it's very nice. Great to hear that. Girish saying he really needs to resume exercising. Of course, that's a healthy habit, accompanied to healthy eating as well. Maybe we take a couple more answers before we really dive into the new habits, which I really wish you guys to take on to effectively work from home. Vivart is saying as well that he wants to learn to be consistent in his habits. Of course, we're going to talk about that. And Soumya is talking about just the halt of procrastination. Definitely, we're going to look into this in a couple of minutes. Don't worry about that. Just maybe a last answer, and then we'll just go through. And Amanda is saying, not all of them, and she really thinks that restarting to exercise is a great place to really reduce procrastination. So you see, there's so much of habits that has a linked effect to our behavior every day, and that's all subconsciously. So it's my biggest honor and pleasure to really bring this subconscious effect on our daily routine as a topic in our workshop. As I always said, I always wanted to make the world a better place. So today I can see around 25 high performers in front of me, and I'm very glad that you guys are here today. And Deepa is saying the lockdown helped her to make the difference between really lazing off and investing more time in changes. And of course, tiny changes, big differences. We're going to go into that very soon. Ali is saying he believes so much that with practice and perseverance, we can effectively be effective in every aspect of life. Of course, I wouldn't deny that. I think myself, during university days, or even when I was 18, I started to invest in my habits ever since that age to get me where I am today. So moving on to the next slide, before thanking all of you guys for your answers. Habits, actually, you're going to ask yourself, okay, how do I start? How do I install a new habit? To be honest, it's very important to do small tasks, very tiny habits. I'm not telling you to start a fresh and new life, a new routine. It's just small progress through tiny habits. So focusing on a series of smaller tasks can indeed lead to a lot of growth because they're easier to master because they're small. So you could put, it's like Lego, you could put the small pieces together so then it becomes a whole picture in the end. So yeah, so now moving on to the content, which I really hope will help you, is about the book of Atomic Habits. As Deepa said, tiny changes are what makes it worthwhile during work from home. So the book of Atomic Habits is one of the best selling happening on the market right now. I know all of you guys have heard about it. What's important to focus on is on the growth. As you can see, is tiny changes, remarkable results. What happens is when you do tiny little changes, it actually gives a lot of results overnight, or even on a long term, right? So we're going to look into that matter. And of course, I will teach you how to go and implement new habits in yourself so that you can give yourself rewards for that. So yeah, next slide would be really about something which I crafted, and it's about 7 habits to really focus on so that you can work from home or even study from home, because here we're studying our habits, right? So the first habit, which I will go on, is about relaxing. Today there's 3 things which is really affecting our lives. It's first of all distraction. There's so much of news all over the world on the BBC about the COVID variants, about the situation of the pandemic right now. And there's so much of disconnection, disconnection in the sense that we really focus on so many things happening all over the world that we really forget about our own habits. So that happening will always take us from a discontinuity in our work, because we're always focusing on when I will get vaccinated. I know London's been on a lockdown for about 1.5 years. Malta has been there since a year. Mauritius just got back for 2 months almost, and we're going to focus a lot on that. I know it's very normal, but the first part is about relaxing and really meditating. I guess taking all away the instant notifications, just not looking at your phone before you have food, I would say, and really meditating. I guess we've got a great meditation session for you, right? And you felt the effect, right? So why don't you try to habit, which we just did with Jay Shetty, as the number one, as you wake up in the morning. So that's, I think, something which will really, really help you to energize yourself. And moving on to the next habit, it's all about rejuvenating. I don't know, we've read a lot about it when I was in uni myself. There's something so much about your environment, your environment really shapes your thoughts, because to be honest, clutter-free environment is a distraction-free environment. So maybe you would really want to codify your workstation, taking away stuffs which you don't need. As a student as well, maybe you would want to take away the books which you're not about to study right now. Maybe you want to take that module away in your drawer or somewhere around that you're not going to master your time for now. So it's very important to surround yourself by things which will make your workstation more codified. Maybe you would want to make a plant, maybe you would want to put a lamp, a desk lamp, I don't know, or even a candle to smell. So many things which you would want to make as tiny changes, or how you feel. Maybe you want to put the AC on or a fan on. There's so many things which we can do to our senses, right? So first of all, our first sense, the sight, maybe we want to take over everything. Our ears, maybe we want to close the doors, close the windows. How are we going to feel? Maybe we want to feel ventilated. So it's all related to your 5 senses. So just make it really focused so that you can have a really good practice of what you would do to start your day. And moving on to the next slide, I think this third and very most important part of a habit to effectively study from home, it's to rewire. We've had that session at work since day one of the pandemic. And it's very important to create that physical boundary. I know maybe some of you have pets who will really come to disturb you, or maybe kids will crawl into your room. That's perfectly normal, right? But at least if you can personally tell your loved ones, people who you share your common spaces with, just tell them, this is my boundary and I'm just going to be here to work, so that people will respect that personal space, and it will make it really, really focus for yourselves, no distraction, and that will really help you to disconnect with the world outside and just focus, deep dive into your notes, into your studies, into your agenda for work. The next R, which I would go about, is about a reflection. After you've already done the boundaries, you've already set the spaces and codified it and meditated, it's very important to have an agenda. We live in a world where there's so much of work, so many meetings, so many things happening all around. Just try to make it focus. Today there's another key word which is buzzing all over the world with a new book as well, is deep work. Deep work is all about scheduling things. What are the top 3 things you want to sort out or get it done before the day ends? So that's something you would really want to, because the more deep you go into planning your day, everything will fall into place, because it's very important to plan everything out, but also to put up the priority list, So maybe the top 3 priority lists would be studying, revising, or even making notes, doing assignments, everything. That would be for you as a student. As a worker, maybe you want to say, okay, so I'm going to run that team meeting first, and I'm going to then move to replying to my emails, then moving to other tasks. So it's very, very prioritial to really do a priority list and just make the most of it. The next R, which I would really focus on, is about reset. I don't know, a lot of us have about 30 minutes Zoom calls with our lecturers or even with our teachers all over the world. I guess this morning you guys had a session about stress, about mindfulness. Maybe whenever you're going on a call, even if it's an hour, I would really recommend you guys to go for a small pause. By doing that is about doing something called the Pomodoro technique. I used that when I was a student. I'll still use it at work. It's something called about putting blocks of time. So first of all, it's about 25 minutes of strong focus, 5 minutes of rest. After every 25 minutes, your brain will actually get tired or used up if you're too stretched, on your screen especially. So maybe that's something you would really want to dive deep into. Having breaks every 25 minutes, just maybe you want to walk around, have a cup of coffee, drink water, just something very, very specific, just to swift your attention from what you're doing. And the next R, which is, I think, one of the most fundamental ones, is about revolving. It's so consistent, fixing your eyes to your screen, or just really, really looking in terms of your screen, going that Zoom meeting, rolling over to that Zoom call on your laptop. What's important is very much to have a variation. Variation is key because your brain will work in a different way because you're going to remember things differently. I guess a lot of you guys are students, you're studying at your home desk and you remember so many things because you studied there. And then you move to the uni library, you would remember what you studied there. So even as a hustler at work, maybe you would want to take that phone call on your phone, and switch off the video, or maybe you want to lie down on the couch with your iPad and taking that call. It's very important to have different habits in terms of daily tasks when you're working from home, because the more diverse you manage to set your tasks, the more effective it's going to be, because you're changing the environment, you're changing the peripheral, you're changing your eyes exposure, you're changing your physical exposure to your screen. It's just so important, to verify every single posture you're doing over time. And now just going on the next habit, it's all about rephrasing. Today, we've just had a meditation after work. We have a lot of people, like Robin Sharma calls that the second wind workout. What we just did was a second wind meditation after work. So maybe just unwinding after your day with a workout, just walking around, just taking the stairs again, up and down, or just, I don't know, just really, really exercising. It's so important today to really focus on our own self-care, because mental health is so much related to your physical health. So you would want to get fit again after a long day sitting on your armchair, or even taking that phone call or that Zoom call, or that lots of marathon on email replies. It's just so important, because I do it myself. And as a student, I was always going for runs at night. It really helped me to release dopamine and really stress. And there's so much of things that, you get it out of your head by sweating. It's so much important to sweat positively, because you're going to take out all the toxins, all the stress, all the thoughts which you've been working on. And that's all subconscious. It's all linked to your subconscious habits. And that's why I would really go for the 7 R's, which I just depicted. And moving on to the next slide, I would really talk about how you create a habit, right? I just told you guys, how do I start? So focusing on small steps. But the second thing is how to create a habit. Of course, you're going to create small ones. And the first key is to spot them. There's so many habits which distracts us. Checking on our emails in the morning whenever we wake up, that's something which is really destructive. Or just watching the news in the morning, that's so much of distraction whenever you wake up in the morning, and that's maybe a habit you would want to stop, and recognize that this habit is something which is really taking away your subconscious mind, which is really taking your energy, So maybe before you start your day, just meditating, would be a habit which you would want to install. So maybe you would want to stop taking your phone when you wake up, and then just start, have a shower and then meditate. So the whole happening is about spotting the habit, which is really destructive and disrupting and disconnecting your routine, and then stopping it, just realize that, I have to stop that. And of course, then stopping it, but taking another thing inside, so that all the chains are put aside, So first of all, I would really recommend, to have an idea of what you have to do, because next slide, I would really explain how you're going to do that. So a study from University College of London talks about 66 days on average to install a new habit. I know a lot of you guys are, oh my God, I've got that lecture, or I've got exams happening in 2-3 weeks. 66 days is just too short notice. Not at all. It's all about keeping the chain together for the next 66 days. because that's going to happen to make your subconscious mind dive in self. You know, it's so much of science, which neuroscience has given so much of thought on, and University College of London's study really focuses on that. And I would tell you how you get that 66 days done. You know, it's all about having a tracker. You will go online on Google. There's so many habit trackings toolkit online. You know, ones are which is very colorful, ones are just calendar based. So maybe you would want to Google it. You know, habit trackers. Just an example, there is around 1, 2, 3, or even 6 habits right now on this habit tracker. It's about meditating, it's about reading, it's about exercising, it's about practice of sports or anything else. It's about maintaining balance, you know, in everything you do. And it's even about brainstorming. As you could tell, you know, all these crosses is all about the start of the link. So you're going to have to take that for 66 days, but you could start right now, even starting from tomorrow morning, you know. How I will let you know to go about it is we're going to move now towards a worksheet, which we're going to share after the session on how you guys could start on very briefly. So moving on to the worksheet. As you could tell, it's very important to focus on the first 3 habits, which you would want to start. You know, I just gave 7. You know, maybe you wanted to pick 3 of these and really write it down in the worksheet. You know, because that clarity will make you so happy and hopeful for the next routines which you're going to take in the mornings. So maybe that's the first step. You know, really spotting the 3 habits you want to start and writing it down. And of course, you know, those you want to continue. I think it's just not about telling you guys, you know, let's start a new habit, you know, let's just be a different version of ourselves. It's far from that. It's just tiny changes, you know, which will keep you motivated to go all along. And then these 3 habits, which you would want to continue, would be the healthy habits. As you saw in the video, maybe you want to spot these 3 healthy habits, which you want to keep in your routine, you know. And third would be reading these every single morning and night. You know, these are affirmations of truth, just like we had in the video of Jay Shetty. It said, you know, I am exactly where I'm meant to be. That's an affirmation. You know, we've all done that through the meditation. So maybe setting another affirmation to yourself would be reading out these 3 habits, you know, where I am, what I really, really like about my 3 habits, and what are the next 3 habits I really want to do. So maybe 6 habits will really create that affirmation. Because what happens with we're going to have an affirmation, it's going to be an intention. You know, your power of intention is so strong because your habits are going to be driven by your intention. As you know, before, we've had a lot of sessions and with Middlesex London, which of course I hope you guys could tune in. The power of intention is so much in terms of having that clarity in your mind. You know, your mind will really work on clarity, you know, visualizing their thoughts and having that intention. You know, you set that intention in terms of your subconscious thinking. So maybe you would want to write about the power of intention. So your intention is to stop maybe eating junk food so as to have a more balanced diet every day and so as to be more healthy every day. So it's important to realize about setting your power of intention, and how you set your power of intention is by filling in the blanks. So your intention and what's the consequence of it, so you will already have a clarity. You know, I want to set that intention, and what's the next step towards that intention, what's the result of it. So visualizing it will really make you more productive and keep the chain linked for the next 60 days. So moving on to the next slide, I would really recommend, which we're going to share, the worksheet. And now on the next slide, I would go about telling you guys about some more models which are really happening right now. I don't know, I'm a big fan of the Harvard Business Review. And there's so many articles about, or even cover magazines about, you know, how you're going to work from anywhere, how the future is. This oncoming May and June session, title is about doing hybrid, right? So it's going to be the future, you know. Working in hybrid is just the future of tomorrow, you know. We're going to take so much of lessons from the pandemic, and it's just going to be very normal now to work from home at least 2 or 3 days a week, or even more. You know, there's so much of work happening from home now and all over the world. So that is something I would really, really recommend you guys to start now, you know, because that's where the world is. You know, we have degrees of the future. You know, people are mostly investing time in tech industries, or even in law fields, or even science, you know, because that's the future. But the future of work is just doing hybrid, you know, the mixture of work from home and work at the office, the mixture of studying from home and studying in the uni. That's going to be the next generation of work mode, I would say. So it's very important for you to start now by spotting your habits, swapping your habits. You know, it's just so much clear than that, because that's where we are all moving on. And I would really sell that again, you know, ever since 2 years almost, you know, London's been on a lockdown, Malta for a year now, and Mauritius just got back, you know, so we will always have to try and amend our ways, because these habits will be happening in our subconscious mind and will really help us to go to the next level in effectively working and even studying from home. So next slide, which I would tell you guys, is about your questions. Before taking your questions for the next 15 minutes, I would just tell you 3 C's, you know. It's all about consistency. You know, you have to stay consistent for the next 66 days. You have to stay consistent in everything you do, because that's how your habits will happen subconsciously, you know. And coaching, you know, I'm very blessed and grateful, you know, having amazing lecturers at Middlesex University, Malta, and even people who were overseeing the business school in London. These guys were just fantastic, you know. So I'm sure in Mauritius, or even in Middlesex, Malta, or even London, it's so important to have regular feedback. You know, feedback is what gets you forward. And of course, having mentorship as a student, that's something which will really help you to get the best grades. I wouldn't lie about it. I don't know, when I graduated, I remember some of my classmates asked me, how did you get great grades? I just said, you know, I just made my lecturers my great friends. Because when you make them your best friends, they will really help you to create habits, because you're going to have that habit to aim for the great grades. That's so connected, you know, in terms of neuroscience. So that's much more about these 2 C's. And something which I would really want to thank again, the Alumni Association, of putting all these great events all over London, Malta, and even Mauritius. You know, our aim as an alumni when we graduate is about giving back. And I know Susanna in London and even Sierra in London has been really working on that, and they're doing a great work on LinkedIn as well. So it's always about giving back. Tonight I'm here because I really want to make the world a better place. That's been my power of intention ever since I've started studying at Middlesex University. I'm very grateful. My passion is my work today, but it's all about giving back. So today we're having a session. I really hope we have around 26 participants giving back to the community in the next month or in the next intake. It's so important to start the movement, because we learn from each other, but also we rise by lifting others. So by saying that, I will just move on to the conclusion slide before I take your questions. It's all about what Steve Jobs said, you know, in the first 30 years of your life, you make your own habits. And for the last 30 years of your life, your habits make you, you know. That's just not me saying it. It's just so many people saying it all over the world, and so many books coming up around it. So pretty much it. That was my session, and we're going to take the questions right now. So any one of you who want to have any question, you could just type it down, or even put it on your video and ask the question in live as you like. Or if you're typing it, Dominica will take up the questions.
Hi, Kapish. Actually, I have a question for you. I've been thinking about while you've been presenting, and I wanted to know a little bit about how did this passion for the subject and everything really start off of habits? Where did it all begin for you? Just that our guests kind of get an idea of how it started for you as well. And also just a follow-up question, have you implemented any habits in your life that you had to change and you had to review? just to give us an example of what habits you've started.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for your question, Dominika. First of all, habits has become very important in my life ever since I wanted to go for a first class. It's not really rocket science, but I had that clarity in terms of a passion for the subject, because I used to work as a real estate agent during my young years in Malta. And I used a lot of habits in terms of having soft skills, So I wanted to leverage my emotional intelligence game by installing habits of persuasion, because that was my bread and butter. I had to pay my bills. I had to juggle between work and paying my bills in Europe, and uni was always there. Habits started by myself, I'm happened to be very blessed to have met one of my personal teachers at the Royal College in Mauritius. That was something which I learned in class, when I was 17 at the Royal College. And what they said is about your habits will really create your future if you start investing in them. And first of all, my first habit, which I had to take away in my life, was about eating junk food. I was eating lots of them ever since, as a kid. And it was just so important for me to eat healthy. And I saw the impact as well by stopping to drink coffee as well. So there was two habits which really affected my routine. First was really reducing junk food, and second was about evading coffee. But the third and most important was practicing deep work. It happened to me that I read the book of deep work in the 2016, around that year. And I really learned to focus my energy in the morning and how I start my day. And the results just been speaking by itself. Today, even at work or even wherever I am, my habits always reflect my behavior and the results in everything I do. So thank you so much for that first question.
We also have a question from Girish, who is saying he just started working from home, and he has a tendency to work more hours than he's required to. So he feels super tired, and he doesn't have the motivation to exercise or do the activities he usually would. What tips could you possibly give him?
Thank you, Girish. I think that question is all in the lips of everybody right now. I've had that question before as well. So I think the most important thing is how you start your day. I believe the world belongs to those who wake up early, but those who make the world a better place are those who wake up earlier. It's very important to start your day with habits which will really have time for yourself. So maybe you want to make time for yourself in the morning, and schedule things. The first thing maybe you want to practice is about thankfulness. Maybe you want to thank yourself for things which you're grateful for in the morning. I'm grateful to study at Middlesex University, Mauritius. I'm grateful for having fantastic lecturers at uni. I'm grateful for having a supportive alumni association, which is giving me so much of coaching to be a great student. And maybe the first thing you want to look into gratitude, thankfulness. And second would be inspiration. Maybe you want to go for a picture or quote that inspires you in the morning, So first of all, you would be thankful for all the gratitude things you have. And the second thing would be really about having an inspiring quote, which will really help you to energize your day. And that's the motivation, right? But then after the demotivation with work, when you finish your day, there's something which I call me time. M stands for meditation and E for exercise. So that is a self-care you have to take, every single afternoon. Maybe you want to meditate and exercise, So these are the tips I would give you, Girish. Starting first of all would be that, and second about gratitude would be really making me time. So let's go to the next question. Okay, I can have a question from Rakesh, who's asking about what tips would I give to students studying from home with the current pandemic, and exams are here. And I would tell you, studying from home or even sitting for an exam, it's very key to remove the obstacles. They have to ask yourself, what stops me from being focused? What stops me from really having my attention taken together? So focusing on these obstacles, ask yourself, what will stop me from having great grades in that exam? What will stop me from being really focused on that presentation or that work from home or that uni lecture from home? So from my experience, I would really go about taking away the obstacles. First of all, maybe you would want to take away your phone, or even closing your emails when you're not on that Zoom call. Second obstacle, which will really prevent you from reaching your goal. Maybe you would want to stop, itching yourself to check your notifications. So again, it's all about clutter-free. It's all about that part of really reframing your environment, because your environment will create a lot of distraction and a lot of obstacles. So maybe you want to take away all these obstacles and just diving inside yourself, asking yourselves, what obstacles are there which is stopping me from having a productive day or having a productive exam? So that would be my answer for you, Rakesh, and a big shout out to all the great work you're putting into for Middlesex Mauritius. Thank you so much. And next question I would take is about Vivart, who's my former classmate from our Malta campus, asking about habits. Do habits really control our thoughts? And it also maybe stops our mind. How is my perspective about overthinking and how habits can help to control it? To be honest, I used to overthink a lot as well. I used to overthink about how I will get good grades or how I will master a great presentation at work, how I will get that work done. It's just very normal, because overthinking is about a shift. You should really take your mind about from the overthinking towards, overperforming. How you do from overthinking to overperforming is very simple, is by focusing on the process. The journey that matters, it's not the goal. We've learned that in uni for so many times now. It's all about focusing on the process, So I would tell you how to stop overthinking is about really being calm and present and balanced. How you're going to do that is by really meditating, having your mind calmed, and even over the day, maybe taking away all the distractions. And how you take away distractions is by revolving, So everything is linked, you have to revolve by changing the way you work, So maybe you want to take that call over the phone. Maybe you want to take that Zoom call over the laptop or maybe on your iPad. I don't know. Maybe you just want to work from the living room, maybe now shifting to the kitchen. So many ideas which I have in mind that stop me from overthinking and just focusing on the process, So having that clarity in mind is what will take you to the next level. And now is the next question. And oh, wow. I'm so honored right now to have a comment from Eleni, who is my former lecturer and the business lead for my business core in Malta. So thank you, Eleni, for being here. Girish is saying thank you. Thank you, Girish. It's my greatest pleasure to have had you on this presentation. And Kinjal is asking about what books? To be honest, Kinjal, I've got one just in front of me because I knew that question would happen. I'm a big fan of Harvard Business Review, and there's a book called Work-Life Balance. It's that book. So maybe I will just type it in, and I am actually sharing this book to you, which is called the Harvard Business Review, the Work-Life Balance. And that's a book which is actually talking about setting boundaries. That's what I've been talking about, clutter-free, distraction-free, but also being present. So a big answer to you, Vivart, would be being present. And how to be present is about focusing on the journey, and I'm very happy to share the book. I will just type it in now. It's Harvard Business Review, Guide to Work life balance. So that's the book which I would really recommend to you guys, because as I said, we have so much of the hybrid mode which is going to happen in our lives. That's the book which I would really go for, you know, Harvard Business Review. And of course, Atomic Habits. I know, a thick book, but once you have it, it's just really, really important. So now moving on maybe to the last questions for the next 4 or 5 minutes. Anyone would come up with a question, I'll be very humbled to answer you guys.
Rakesh had another question. He has asked, as an alumni, would you be willing to support other students on a more one-to-one basis? Because I think people might feel maybe more freely to share their issues and may want to speak to you directly. So yeah, throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I would really be happy to do that. I mean, I work in HR at Rogers Group. My biggest goal is to help people really excel in their own personal and even private practical life. So yeah, definitely you have my contact, so we could do even Zoom sessions with students one-to-one. I'm definitely in for it. How I'm going to do it is by really putting it in my reframe mindset. So I would really put that in my agenda, and we could practice deep dive about deep work in everything. So definitely I could do that, Rakesh, and thank you for the work you've been putting into, and yeah, we could connect anytime. And just maybe the last question.
Kapish, I actually have another question for you, because I've noticed there's quite a few final year students that have joined us. I think students set habits in their studies. How do they transition these habits to workplace? Because many will be now looking at internships, graduate schemes. I mean, have you had a personal experience in this area, or what kind of tips would you give them, because so that their good habits don't disappear like that?
To be honest, I would really ask you to take a step further than just habits. You know, there's something called spiritual intelligence, which is called the SQ. Maybe that's something you would want to take up before starting to work, or even starting to apply work when you finish your assignments. It's all about having a purpose in life. You know, when you have a purpose, you know, that will be in your subconscious mind, and that's where habits come into play. Having a purpose and a clarity about what you want to do will happen. You know why? Because when you have clarity in your mind, you know, you will visualize that preparation. You know, I would answer your question about the habits, Dominica, by really saying my first habit was about being a smart worker. You know, I never really wanted to change how we work, you know, but doing things smartly, you know. And when you have smart work in any soft skill which you're going to go for on an interview or even at work, you always have to think how to be smart. You know, that's the first habit I've taken up. The second habit which I've taken up, and I can see in HR, a lot of our employees talk about now, is about having a lot of dedication. You know, today the world is moving towards presenteeism at work. You know, you have to log in at work, you have to stay online. Having a presence is very important, and having presence is what will make you have clarity and overthinking eradication. You know, so that's the two habits I would really go about: smart work, and of course every time having dedication. You know, maybe you want to be the smartest worker in the office, or maybe you would want to invest a lot in yourself. You know, I've graduated since almost 2 years now, but I still invest in myself learning, you know. So maybe that's the third habit. Whatever I've been preparing is just a result of my self-learning studies, you know. So keep on reading, keep on improving yourself, because that's what's going to take you to the next level of your career or even your life. So maybe I'd just rephrase again: after you graduate, maybe you want to see how you could do smart work in applying to jobs, maybe really doing nice CVs. And second, once you get to that job, maybe you want to show that you're the smartest and most dedicated person. And the third one is about being present in work, and always having a big clarity about your spiritual intelligence. Yeah. So Deepa is sharing a rule that really helped her. It's the Mel Robbins 5-second rule. Yeah, I would really recommend that as well. So thank you so much, Deepa, for the insight. It's something which we really do, and I really know that as a law student, you've been doing that and it really worked. And Rakesh is saying, on a great note, education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Malcolm X. And yeah, so thank you, Rakesh, and me too. I wish all of you guys having exams a great time preparing for it, and all of you hustlers working from home who are ready to invest in their habits to be more effective in their routine. So I guess that's pretty much it. And again, I would just end up by thanking everybody from Middlesex University London, at the alumni. I can see a lot of you guys present, and even Mauritius. Here we are. Thank you so much, everybody. It's my deepest honor and pleasure to have been here today with you guys. And Noor is saying thank you. Thank you, Noor. I wish you all the best in your studies and in your career. And of course, you guys could reach me on LinkedIn or anywhere else. We could.
I will follow that up, Kapish. Thank you very much for your time, very insightful, and thank you everybody for your question and taking the time to be part of this event tonight. Also would like to thank Middlesex London. I know Susanna's logged on here tonight. Thank you for encouraging us to run this event. We hope for further collaboration in the future. And then if anybody would like to reach out to me as well, I can put you in touch with Kapish. The email address is alumni@mdx.ac.mu. If you have any questions, if you want to go via me, I'd be happy to put you in touch with Kapish as well. So yeah, that's it for tonight. I hope to see many of you in any of the future events we run.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ciara. Thank you, Susanna. Thank you, Dominica. Thank you, everybody, and Rakesh as well. Have a great evening.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Kapish. Thank you.